Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a potential southern snowmaker for portions of the mid-Atlantic and portions of the southeast. Some areas could be picking up as much as 2 or 3 inches of snowfall out of this event. It's going to be a light, quick snowfall, but it is definitely going to be something very interesting for those of you who do live within the Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia area. So some of you guys will be seeing your first snowfall of the season. Tell me how the forecast goes down below in terms of how much snowfall you actually get out of this one, because snowfall reports can be sometimes a little bit misleading, so it's always good to get some additional reports from you guys down in the comment section. Also, yesterday I put up a poll on my community tab on YouTube, and I asked you guys whether you want me to incorporate Hawaii and Alaska a little bit more in my videos, and a majority of you guys did say yes. As of when I'm recording, it's about 66 to 33% in favor of adding Alaska and Hawaii a little bit more. I'm likely not going to make entire dedicated videos on them, but I think what I'm going to do is kind of just show the watches and warnings, as I always do in the beginning of the video, but I'll also show Alaska and Hawaii. We also have your exclusive snowfall forecast at the end of the video, and I'm going to be timing out when that rain and snow will start as well. And we're also going to be giving you a boom or bust city forecast for Roanoke, Virginia this time, because there could definitely be a lot of potential for this to swing either way, and we'll talk about that a lot more in the later parts of the video. So here's the current National Weather Service page. Let's go from west to east. We'll start off on the west coast. We have red flag warnings up from about San Francisco down to Los Angeles, with a little break in the middle there. We also see some flood watches right along the coast, with some hard freeze warnings up in, I believe, some mountainous regions there in southwestern California. We see some wind advisories for portions of northern and central California, with some high wind watches, and actually those are high wind warnings in effect for Central California. We see some air quality alerts in effect for the Northwest, as well as a little tiny area of winter weather advisories and portions of Washington there. We also see some high wind watches in effect for portions of Montana, and we see some air quality alerts, or actually I believe those are dense fog advisories in effect for portions of western Minnesota. And then our system up in the Northeast is still wrapping up over portions of Maine. Those are some winter storm warnings in the pink, winter weather advisories in the purple, and the flood watches in the greens there. So that system is still wrapping up. Like I said I was going to do, I'm going to incorporate Alaska and Hawaii a little bit more, so let's go over their watches and warnings. We have wind chill advisories in effect for central Alaska there, and then we also see some winter weather advisories for the southwestern portion of Alaska, and we see for the northern islands of Hawaii, we're seeing some flood watches, especially as you get along the coast there. So those are your watches and warnings. Let's start talking about your actual system. We're going to look at two different models, the NAM through CAM and the European model, and then we'll look at a couple other models just for their snowfall, and then we'll get into my forecast. So here to be your current, or within the next couple of hours, here's what your satellite should look like and your radar should look like. This would be by right around 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Although some of these areas are in Central Time, for example, in parts of Tennessee and Kentucky, I think I'm going to most likely use Eastern Time in this video, because the most of the snow should fall east of the Appalachians and in that Eastern Time zone. So hopefully that doesn't get a bit too confusing. So we're going to be dealing with some rain and snow showers as you get further to the south over portions of northern Georgia, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi. We're also dealing with that trough, that system up in parts of New England left behind. Behind that system, we had a very, very strong trough that's digging down into the eastern United States right now. We see that area of moisture as you get further to the south over portions of, again, the mid-south, as you get into northern Georgia, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, and that is going to track right into this area of colder air. And when you get that cold air mixed in with some of that precipitation, you might be able to pump out a little bit of snowfall over some of these areas, over Virginia especially. It has shifted northward into mostly Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky, but some of the mountainous areas of western North Carolina might also get included. So here to be by right around 10 p.m. tonight, we're dealing with still some scattered rain and snow showers, but that area starts to progress a little bit further to the north. This is the European model, by the way. We're dealing with scattered rain and snow showers moving through portions of Kentucky and Virginia, as well as the westernmost parts of North Carolina and those higher elevations. But it's a mainly rain event by this point. This would be by right around 1 a.m. tomorrow. Now, here would be by right around 4 a.m. tomorrow, and we're dealing with a more widespread area of snow as you get closer to southern West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, and then I would say the central parts of Virginia. There, looking at a good, steady accumulating snow, and it is going to be tough to get good accumulation out of this. Most of your accumulation should be under an inch, mainly because of, first of all, how far south this is compared to when you would typically see snow. Usually these areas average their first snows in late December, so this is earlier than normal. And also just the fact that here's your 32-degree line, this blue line right here, from the European model. This is where it's forecasting that 32-degree line to be. And you can see most of that snow actually falls outside of there, so maybe around 33 or 34 degrees. That means your surfaces, the only surfaces it'll really accumulate on is grassy surfaces maybe, but mainly elevated surfaces. So your deck, your roof, areas like that might get some accumulation on there. So here to be by right around 7 in the morning. It's getting a little bit more widespread. It's moving further to the east, and it's starting to hit portions of the coastal areas. I think you won't switch over as you get closer to the coast as soon as areas inland. So those areas right along the coast probably will stay either a rain snow mix or just all rain. As you get a couple miles inland, though, you probably will be dealing with a little bit of snowfall out of this, and then here would be by right around 10 in the morning tomorrow, and we're dealing with some more snowfall for western North Carolina and also to the southern portions of Virginia and the southern Delmarva there. And then it really breaks apart. You see that bigger area of rain moving off the shore of North Carolina and Virginia, and then we're moving, that system is kind of moving further away. We're still dealing with some lingering snow and rain showers scattered throughout portions of Virginia and North Carolina, but it's really starting to die out by this point. We start to see a little band of lake effect start to develop over Ohio, and then potentially that makes its way further to the south and to the east over West Virginia, so maybe another chance for some snow. We start to see, again, most of those showers are breaking up by this point. So this would be by right around, I would assume it would be right around 4 p.m. or so. And this would be most likely as the storm is exiting. The storm is breaking apart quite rapidly. So this is going to be a weaker system. It's not going to be anything too major, but it's definitely going to be a nice little surprise for those of you who haven't seen snow in this area for quite a while. So here's what the NAM 3 cam model is now showing, and then we'll look at a couple of other models and then my forecast. We're seeing those scattered areas of rain showers over portions of the southeast, but they'll start to move a little bit further to the north, and we're starting to see that trough mix in with it. So you're dealing with that trough again digging down into the eastern United States as the system in the northeast has already moved out. What that's going to do is allow some of this moisture to move up further to the north and mix in with some of that colder air, and that should allow for some of that snowfall to develop over portions of Virginia, Kentucky, and maybe into North Carolina. So we're starting to see some rain and snow showers pop up over Kentucky, mainly rain though as you get further to the south. But then probably I would say the main time that this is going to start mixing together, that rain and snow, or that cold air and that rain, which would in turn make snow, would be probably right around 4 in the morning. Probably between 2 and 4 in the morning is when most areas will switch over to some snowfall, and that looks to stay around. The NAM 3 cam model is actually much quicker than what the European model is showing. This would be up by 7 a.m. Here's by 10 a.m. and then here's by 1 p.m. and you can see how quickly that system is pushed out to the east according to this NAM 3 cam model. Then you get some scattered showers on the back end of this, mainly in the form of rain. So here's what the NAM 3 cam model is showing for this event, and we're looking at in the mountainous regions maybe closer to 6 inches in some of those mountain tops. You can see a little purple showing up in southwestern North Carolina. Otherwise, I think it'll be mainly a 1 to 2 inch accumulation over many of these areas, with some mountainous regions getting closer to 2 or 3, maybe even 4 or 5 inches of snowfall. Now, here's what the European model is showing, and it's a lot more bullish over portions of southern Virginia, southern West Virginia, and into western North Carolina, but I think this is also a tiny bit overdone. I really don't think this is going to be a 2 to 3 inch accumulation over southern Virginia, probably closer to an inch, mainly just because you're going to have a hard time getting that to stick at the in the first part of the system. Now, here's what the National Weather Service is showing, and these amounts are going to be lighter than what's actually going to happen, just because they don't want to really forecast something that's a bit too high and then get backlash from it. So the National Weather Service amounts will always be lower than what is actually probably going to happen. So you'll see my forecast in just a little bit. Now, here's our boomer bust forecast. This is for Roanoke, Virginia, because in my forecast, I'm calling for an inch. But on the high end, if you get something like what the European is showing, maybe you get 2 to 3 inches of snowfall. And on the low end, maybe the system goes a little bit further to your south. Maybe that cold air doesn't get in time for you to see any snow, and you end up getting no snow. So that's our boomer bust forecast. Not a huge difference compared to what we were dealing with in other systems, but this can definitely be a big impact. 2 or 3 inches is a lot different than maybe just a coating. So definitely, if you are going to be traveling through the snow, definitely take precautions and definitely drive a little bit slower than what you would typically do. Now, here's my rain, snow, precipitation type forecast. Now, this would be by tonight around 7 p.m. We're dealing with those rain showers moving through portions of the mid-south, and that continues to spread as we get to right around 10 p.m. tonight. These are not going to be a continuous cluster of systems or a continuous cluster of storms. It's mainly going to be a broken line of showers. Here would be by 1 a.m. Tomorrow morning. We're dealing with some of that mixing on that northern end of this in those higher elevations, and also just on that northern periphery of the system. And then it really expands as we get to right around 4 a.m. I think that time that most of these areas are going to switch over will probably be closer to 2, 3, or 4 a.m. Here's by 7 a.m. and we're dealing with heavy snow as you get into central and eastern parts of North Carolina. Southwestern parts of North Carolina might pick up some moderate snow, but mainly it's going to be light snow as you get into Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky there. Here's by 10 a.m. some mixing in effect for portions of Virginia, but as you get into Western Virginia, Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, Southern West Virginia, probably just some light flakes, and also as you get into the Southern Delmarva, maybe you get some mixing in there as well. And we're dealing with mainly rain showers as you get further to the south by this point. Here's by 1 p.m. and this is when it really starts to break apart. Some scattered rain and snow showers mixed in for portions of Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee there, but generally nothing too major. And then it's really wrapping up as you get to 4 p.m. and then 7 p.m. most of that rain and snow is finishing up. Now, here's my snowfall forecast for this event. Under an inch of snowfall for all of these areas for portions of northern and western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, much of West Virginia into much of Virginia, and then also for portions of the southern Delmarva. That's where I'm looking at maybe under an inch of snowfall. This is where I think you'll at least get flakes or maybe a dusting or a coating on some grassy or elevated surfaces. So on those colder surfaces, probably not the roadways if you're just in this area, but this is where I think you might get actually an accumulation. I'm thinking probably on the lower side of this as you get into Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky, probably just closer to 1 inch of snowfall, maybe an inch and a half. I don't think it'll be anything major, but as you get into the mountains of western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, also some of those mountains in West Virginia, maybe you guys could get closer to 2, 3, maybe even a scattered 4 or 5 inch accumulation here and there in those higher elevations. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications. If you want a personal forecast, leave a comment down below and I'll be answering all of your comments as we get as you comment them. I like to comment back to you within about an hour or two of you posting that comment. So if you do want a personal forecast for your area, let me know down below and just leave a general location and I'll give you a forecast. So again, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you like the video, it really helps to get out to more people, and subscribing and turning on notifications will ensure that you never miss another upload. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.